Reuters. Voting Rights Act faces a near-death experience at the U.S. Supreme Court. So the Voting Rights Act, a landmark law barring discrimination in voting, was a product of the U.S. Civil Rights era sought by Nobel Peace Prize recipient Martin Luther King, passed by Congress and signed by Democratic President Lyndon Johnson. 6 decades later, it faces the greatest threat, with the Supreme Court, which is a 6-3 conservative majority, looking poised to hollow out one key section. The court is expected to rule in the coming months in the case, argued on Wednesday, concerning a map delineating U.S. House of Representatives district in Louisiana. The conservative justices signaled they could undercut the law's Section 2, which bars voting maps that would result in diluting the voting power of minorities, even without direct proof of racist intent. So to put it simply, conservatives have challenged this law, saying you should not be allowed to create congressional districts based on race. The law itself says you have to. Now, the intent was to stop congressional districts from gerrymandering out minorities voting. Instead, what it ended up creating is congressional districts entrenched only by minority voting. With this, there is now an expectation that Democrats will not be able to take back the House, which is historically, let's just say, I don't know, anomalous. Mm-hmm. Typically, the opposition party takes the House back in the midterms. But if the Supreme Court rules the Voting Rights Act down and allows these states to redistrict, it basically becomes completely Republican. And the expectation is 20 seats lost by Democrats.
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious because it's like they have no problem diluting like white areas. Like if you look at like the congressional map of Illinois, it'll capture some of the suburbs and then snake into town and just scoop up a few like black neighborhoods. And then so it's like they have no problem doing it to like white people. They do it all the time. But it's like, no, but when it comes to like minorities, they have to have their own districts. It's like enshrined in the like founding principles of our country. And it's like, what are you talking about?
And this was basically one of Charlie Kirk's criticisms with the Civil Rights Act and the civil rights in general, was that the intent was good. We wanted to stop discrimination, but we created quotas, such as with the Voting Rights Act, instead of saying, we want to make sure it's fair, the people who live here are not being diluted. What ended up happening was they created congressional districts specifically based on race.
Yeah. Well, they were attempting to enshrine equality into the books of law, but they actually enshrined equity into the books of law, which was like the longstanding goal of leftists. Yeah. And this is a great example of this isn't equality. This is equity. This is basically, it's DEI fundamentally. Like that's exactly what it is. And so now on the view after the Civil Rights Act, like in the view of the government, equity is now a priority. And it's going to be at the expense of the majority group, which is, white Americans.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, look, the idea of equity for equity's sake is actually like it's abhorrent to the Constitution. It is abhorrent to all of the laws that have been passed up until the Civil Rights Act. The idea that they have to make sure that there is representation or equal representation based on race, that's totally ridiculous. It's totally abhorrent to the idea that we're a country based on merit, and that's something that one of the things that Donald Trump was elected ostensibly to bring back was the idea that we look for the best candidate, and it shouldn't be a situation where they make changes to the districts based on race or anything like that. And I think that's what the Supreme Court is going to find. That's why you're seeing the think pieces that you're seeing right now. The Supreme Court's very likely going to say, yeah, this actually violates the.
What happens if Republicans win? Breaking the historical trend.
Well, I mean, I imagine there will be more rioting, more protests, more people saying, oh, it's a terrible thing that we're losing all of this stuff, because that's what the left does when they lose something. They flip out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a matter of what does it prevent, and I think it prevents the boot from going back on Trump's neck with lawfare. I mean, that's ultimately, like, the priority for this midterms is, like, keeping the House. It's not like we're really going to gain much more than we already have. It's more of a matter of just keeping Democrats away from these committees where they can just harass Trump with.
Do you think the government will reopen by then?
Dude, we're on track for the longest shutdown in history, which is crazy. Like some people that I was speaking to that are in the know are like, yeah, I'm planning trips out towards Thanksgiving.
I've got, obviously we here at Timcast know many, many people who work in government, and I'm hearing Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, and I'm like, I almost don't. I don't know if I believe that. Come on, it's already the longest in history. But the argument is that Democrats have no reason to vote to reopen the government.
Yeah.
Why would they?
The Republicans don't either. We got the military paid. That was the priority. And since
Trump wants to fire people.
Yeah, and since we control the budgeting, like we can take chunks out of their stuff first, like snaps on the chopping block, these sorts of things, and then we can move elsewhere. But it's like, yeah, the Republicans certainly don't really have too much motivation now that the military has been paid to come to the negotiating table. And then also, like, this is just how shutdowns work, is the party that's asking for something is always blamed for it, no matter what. Like the last shutdown, it was over border wall funding, and even like a lot of Republicans were like, all right, dude, just like let's get a deal done. So like likewise, there's a lot of Democrats now that are like, okay, uncle, like let's just get this, let's get out of it. But it's funny because it's like, this is what the fifth story we have, and like usually a shutdown is like a really big deal, like, you know, as everyone's talking about it. Like I was setting up for the show today, for the morning show, and I was like, do I even like talk about the shutdown? Like, does anyone really even like care? I don't even think people in the government care. It's
no,
like,
well, the big part of the reason why is because the media will make it a big deal if it can be blamed on Republicans, can be believably blamed on Republicans. If not, the media just doesn't need to talk about it, and then most people will go about their days, and most people won't really notice.
Yeah, well, I think it's also just like the stories that have been like in the zeitgeist for the last few months have just been so insane that it's like talking about a shutdown really feels like coming back down to earth in a lot of ways. And because there is a lot of press that actually are talking about this quite extensively, but it's just like there's not really a appetite for it among, because it's like, hey, we just saw like Charlie Kirk get shot, like a lot of different things going on, and then we're gonna like come back and talk about like discretionary spending. It's just like,
It used to be a
non-starter.
panic in the news.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, it's going to shut down. I don't miss it. Do you?
No, not really. Yeah, like unfortunately, I've started to listen to like more like NPR and stuff just to like see what they're talking about. And yeah, when they're discussing the shutdown, it's just like, yeah, like you know, Speaker Johnson had this to say, and I was like, it's whatever. It's day 20. We'll see what happens. And it's like I remember from the first one, they were like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna die if we don't reopen tomorrow.
Buy our totes.
I think the crazy thing, because you know, I'll be driving in my Tesla and it's got NPR on it, and I'll turn it on, like, hey, let's listen to the news. The lies are insane.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, I can't believe how often they lie in shocking fashion. It's intentional. I cannot believe that a journalist with access to Google doesn't know some of these things.
They talk like that so they can hide the lies. Like they developed a certain NPR voice. It's like it hypnotizes the audience.
It's the soy-lennial accent.
You know,
Poison.
Michael Malice always says, try explaining to someone the weatherman is lying to them. And that's how people feel when it comes to the news. They're like, this thing happened. They go, it happened.
Not wrong, but lying to them intentionally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is,
Look at when Graham Linehan was here, and he was, you know, we were talking about, for those that don't know, he made, was it the IT Crowd and Father Ted? And we played this clip. It's really funny where Father Ted's going to talk to some Chinese guys, and there's a sticker stuck to the window. And when the Chinese guys are walking up, they're like, this guy's like, why are we talking to this fascist? And he goes, he's not a fascist. Father Ted leans up to the window, and he starts waving like this. From the other side of the window, they see him with the little square over his nose, and he's throwing his arm up. And then the one guy turns around. Then Father Ted goes, why are they leaving? They're leaving right now. They haven't even come here. And then through the window, he's, you know, looking like Hitler. The funny thing is, so we all laugh. And I said, it's very similar to what Count Dankula did when he had his pug doing the salute. And then Graham said that he piled on and attacked Dankula over it because he genuinely believed that Dankula was like some white supremacist guy. And so he's like, and then I said, I asked him, like, when did you realize? And like, when did you change? And he goes, when I eventually figured out that every journalist was lying to me. It's like, yeah, every single one.
incredible.
That's how insane it is. What's really sad, Dankula was probably inspired by Father Ted when he made that joke. He was just, it's like, here's a guy who probably watched your show, thought it was really funny, and wanted to be like you, or was emulating your jokes.
Wow.
And you thought he was an actual Nazi.
Yeah.
That's what they do with that's what the media lies do.
Mm-hmm.
So
rest in peace, Buddha, the dog. By the way, he passed recently.
Yeah.
But no, it's true.
did he?
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yeah, it's just gonna get people killed. Ultimately, like it used to be like, oh, they're lying. This is a horrible thing. They're misrepresenting me, and it's hurting my credibility. But like a lot of people, it's just like this frustrating thing you had to deal with. But now it's like, no, this is going to get me killed. Stop.
So this is just another Kalshi prediction market.
Yeah.
37.7 days is the current forecast for the shutdown. $14 million wagered on this.
Nice.
The prediction markets are absolutely amazing, my friends, because people are putting their money where their mouth is. So it's actually quite incredible that people are like, it's not a poll.
Right.
It's much more important than that. The wisdom of the crowd. That being said, and, you know, Call Sheet does sponsor this show, so shout out to Call Sheet. But I got to say, it's getting pretty weird when people are betting on literally everything. Everything. Like I said, there's half of me going, it's actually really great. We could track the data. We call it the wisdom of the crowd. When you get enough people to aggregate what their thought process is, it tends to be correct. That's pretty wild. But people are also wagering on literally everything. I'm split, man. Part of it's really amazing that you can. Part of it worries me that the entirety of our culture is going that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, wagering has always been fairly popular, but when you put it in, in everyone's cell phone and have them, with easy access to their bank account right there, like they don't have to go get the money to do it anymore. It's like it's all right there.
It's a game show.
Yeah,
it's a nationwide game show, a worldwide game show.
Sure.
To be honest,
Very good point.
while I'm not a big fan of like casinos popping up everywhere, my principle, there's the liberal versus conservative argument on stuff like this. And there's two versions of each. The conservative argument of you shouldn't gamble, and the liberal argument of do whatever you want. But also, there is the conservative argument is everything within moderation. So it's fine to have available so long as people are making the right choices. And the liberal argument of people can't choose for themselves because they're not smart enough, so the government has to choose for them. So when I look at this stuff, I'm torn quite a bit on it. But I'll tell you, when I play poker quite a bit. Most of the guys that are playing these games are playing at stakes where it's not a big deal. It's not going to negatively impact your life.
Yep.
Most people who are drinking are not getting so drunk that they're destroying their lives. And then it's fine. So I like the wisdom of the crowd of these prediction markets. I think it's extremely informative and it's a very powerful tool. The concern, I suppose, then is only if someone is negatively impacted by it due to personal behavioral faults, it's on the person, not the practice.
Yeah. Well, I think the restrictions on sports betting specifically have always been more concern over the actual integrity of the sport rather than like protecting the consumer or whatever. And that's been totally vindicated because there's like story after story now of NBA players like taking ridiculous actions on the court because they know where the money line is. And like, you can literally just watch the game and they're just taking shots with like 10 seconds to go that make zero sense. Like they would have not taken 5 years ago. And it's because they know what the money line is. Right. And there's guys in the crowd tapping heads or like it feels like mafia, like 1920s baseball. Like it's crazy what's going on. But it's like, I think the people that were like highly skeptical of these, like, rolling back the sports betting bans have been totally vindicated because it's totally ruined the integrity of sport.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.